Good morning, you guys. I am so glad you are here. Today we are going to be talking about how we preserved and did a bunch of really cool stuff with our onion harvest. So if you are growing onions and looking for unique ways to preserve them, if you are just interested in hanging out with us while we preserve our onions, things that we grew on our little hobby farm here, then this video is for you. I'm going to be going along the process of preserving these onions and talking about that. We are also going to be making green onion powder with the onion tops, and I'm also going to be cooking dinner in this video because I am a real mom with a real family and they require a real dinner. So let's go ahead and get into it. So our onions grew at a very mixed rate this year, and instead of letting certain ones continue to grow and get larger, I did a really big garden clean out and turnover. And when I did that, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and pull all the onions regardless of their size. I had several that were fully mature and good, and I had quite a few too that could have used a few more weeks in the garden, but because of what our schedule was like as a family, for us it was just better to pull it all at one time, whereas in years past I pretty much let the onions go until they were all ready. But that's going to happen sometimes. Sometimes you have to do what's best for your schedule, and that means occasionally you don't let things fully mature before you harvest them. So during this garden clean out, that's what I did. I harvested the majority of our onions. I did leave, I think, one bed that still had onions in it because I was pretty okay with that one. I didn't need to do much turnover with it.
The stuff I made last night? Are you talking about the stuff I made last night?
Like those things with the chips that you had for lunch and then with the big...
Oh, the Pinko de Gallo.
Yeah.
Here, Maddie, take this to the table.
This video is going to have a combination of voiceovers and our real life. Our real life is loud. My house is loud. It is not quiet because I have 5 kids, and if you have kids, you know that the house is probably not quiet, especially when you have quite a few of them. And because of that, we're going to kind of go back and forth in this video because I like to encourage the kids to come and talk to me at the counter, and sometimes they don't want to always share everything, and I always want to be respectful of their thoughts and feelings and what they're going through. And so in this circumstance, we've got quite a few moments where the camera is just normal, no voiceovers, and then occasionally I'll jump in here and provide you some other feedback with things.
Oh God.
Okay, don't bring my onions.
Hey, look, you got the shell.
They can't see it. It's not turned here. It really can't. So.
Ta-da! Okay, so
I'll refill this with more that need to be washed.
where do you want me to put them after I do it?
On a
You
towel
want me to juggle?
somewhere. Yes, that's
I
what
can't juggle. I'm not gonna do that.
Alright, so the way that we do this is we trim them up and then we wash them. Since you obviously want clean onions if you're going to be storing them in your freezer. So Seth is going to cut up the washing of the onions while I finish weighing these and trimming the greens up. These greens right here, these are nice and clean and sturdy. I will cut these up and put these into the dehydrator to make green onion powder. The ones that are not so great are just going to go right into the compost. I'm going to keep the circuit going. Why is there always a... Is it
Natalie,
yours?
is this your toothbrush?
Weren't you having a missing
Get it out of
toothbrush?
here.
Okay,
Put
can we
it
put
back.
I don't
peppers?
know if that is mine or not.
Natty said it's hers.
Yeah. Because mine was...
Grab the beans right there, because we're going to take these to the table since we're not working with them right to the center.
Grab them beans.
Okay, let me back up. I do not preserve onions in the traditional way. I preserve them by dicing them up and putting them in the freezer or dehydrating them. And I do this because I don't have really the optimal space to dry them for long-term storage. Our garage is really the only space that I can do that in. And in the summer, it's so hot and it's so humid that typically it will mold, which makes it really tough. I can do other things, like I can cure potatoes pretty quickly in there, especially if I time it right, but onions are tough for me based off of when I harvest them. So most of the time I will just go through the process of washing these, chopping them up, and putting them into Ziploc bags in 1 cup measurements, which actually works out exceptionally well because you guys know that I'm a big meal prepper. I like to make a bunch of freezer meals. I like to not have to worry about dinner, but I still want to make really good meals that I'm going to enjoy and that are nutritious for our family and that use our fresh fruits and vegetables. So because of that, having things that are pre-chopped up in proportions that are commonly used is really, really beneficial for when I do those really big freezer meal videos, which we do a few times a year. I'll probably do those more regularly just because I feel like they're so helpful, and I enjoy having my freezer meals. I don't like having to think about what to make for dinner. It's like this weight in the back of my mind, like, what am I gonna do now?
And now, we'd like to bring you a word from our sponsors. Teenagers who find their parents completely annoying.
So as you can see, Seth and I have different parenting styles. It ends up meshing really well. Seth jokes and teases with them a lot, and I'm more of the one who, I'm more of the comforter, the one they'll sit down and they'll talk to if they're sad or if they just need a hug. And Seth is much more of the jokester. He teases them a lot more regularly. And it's funny because Layla, who's my oldest right there, she's my teenager, she'll act like she's so put out by the jokes and then she'll laugh about it afterwards. It's adorable. Okay, so instead of cutting them so small, just do them like this. You just need them to fit on the thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mom,
And then it won't burn your eyes as much because it's like, okay, look, it's almost done.
the dads are trying to fight each other.
You can also go put on goggles if you want. Is Sophia, her eyes are burning. Okay, stop.
Because the onions are getting you? Dude, I'm washing these ones and they're kind of potent.
Oh, we need more goggles for the pool.
I said congratulations.
You want to know what's crazy?
Layla's so embarrassed by me.
I'm not embarrassed by you, I just think you're a bit strange.
Do you want to know what's crazy?
Brought to you by children who find their parents, especially fathers, strange.
That's right. Congratulations. There's still more onions in the garden to harvest.
No! That's it. I'm going on strike. Union strike.
You are so
We have demands.
Oh, do you now?
Yeah.
Steak punch? What?
We need goggles that save our eyes from tears. That's one demand.
That's fair.
Holy moly, these are tough. I'm not gonna be able to put those on my face.
Yeah, I haven't seen those on.
I love it.
Someone else baking treats, it would be better because
So right now we kind of have this system going where people are willing to help, so I took them up on it. So Seth is washing the onions. I am chopping the roots and the green tops off. Sophia has volunteered to chop the onions and put them on the dehydrator tray. And those are the green onions, the tops of them for the most part. And I'm going to dehydrate those and turn those into onion powder. So when it comes to dehydrating green onions for powder, you're looking at about 3 to 10 hours, anywhere between 95 degrees Fahrenheit to 135 degrees Fahrenheit, or 35 to 57 degrees Celsius. It really depends on the dehydrator and the thickness of the slices that you're putting in there, but you do want to make sure that when you are dehydrating them, you want them to be fully dried and brittle. So when you touch them, they're kind of going to break apart. And that's a really crucial step, because anything that's still damp or wet or not fully dehydrated is going to make it completely impossible to blend it up into a fine powder, which is what you're looking for. So once we got the majority of the green onion tops put away, we threw away the rest of the roots. Seth is over there washing the onions and Soph is putting them on a towel for me so I can kind of work with them as they come off. And once they're on the towel, it's kind of like, okay, it's now my turn in the assembly line, and I'm going to cut these up, remove any of the pieces that I feel like aren't super great or really thick stem pieces that aren't what I'm wanting, I'm going to put those in the compost, and I'm going to chop the onions up into pieces that I can go ahead and put into this choppy food thing. I don't know what you call it. I've had this thing for over a year now. I've only broken off a small piece of it, which is good because I have a tendency to break things on accident. I'm very Murphy's Law prone. It's just the truth. I've accepted it. It's one of the things about becoming an adult. You kind of just learn to accept and embrace who you are. And I've very much grown into that. I'm quite comfortable now admitting that not only am I a bit of a spaz, but I have a tendency to break things, including myself. I'm just injury and accident prone. And you really do have to slap the bejesus out of this thing. It's not something where you can lightly press down on it. You have to like use force to chop up the onions. So I spent a very good amount of time, as you can probably guess, slapping this and chopping up the onions into little pieces. It was definitely easier though than dicing things with a knife. And my goal here is to have these chopped up in a very uniform way, so they're kind of all the same up until the point that we start chopping them into slices. Now the slices, rather than the diced pieces like this, are going to be something that I'm going to use on pizza when I don't have fresh onions coming in from the garden anymore. And like I mentioned, we still have a bed that had onions in it. By the time that I have edited this and it's come out for you guys, I've harvested that bed too. But for me, besides the garden tours, which I film pretty religiously every week for you and are more up to date on things, when it comes to the videos that I'm doing besides that, I will shoot something and I might have it in this hard drive for my computer in an editing area, and I'm like, okay, I need to edit this one, and they still go in order. You just might get it where it was filmed 3 to 4 weeks ago, possibly. Sometimes it's much quicker than that. If I feel like it's more pertinent, I'll prioritize that. Now, really quickly, that pot is not on the stove. I'm just taking the diced onions and putting them in the pot, so I have a way to empty out the bottom of the food chopper. What was I saying? Oh, but because I'm constantly working, because it is a hobby farm, so I'm taking care of the kids, but then I'm also doing manual labor, I never know for sure what my schedule is going to be like. So if I have everything I've filmed, at least I know that you guys will get that footage as soon as I can get around to editing it. I am trying to make more of an effort to edit more regularly. It is not my favorite part of doing YouTube. I don't enjoy editing as much, and because of that, sometimes I can procrastinate a little bit. But Seth has told me recently, he's like, you need to just make a schedule and stick to it. And that's really hard for somebody with ADHD, but I'm doing better now. I'm working on it. Anyhow, so once I've filled up this big old pot full of the chopped up onions, I'm putting them on a cookie sheet on a piece of parchment paper, and I'm going to flash freeze these. The reason I'm flash freezing these is because they won't stick together. I could go ahead and just put them all in a Ziploc bag in 1 cup proportions and freeze it, and it would be fine. The issue that I personally have with that is they all stick together, and then it's more difficult to get them out of the bag, and you have to thaw them quite a bit, and it's just more of a pain. What you can do, though, if you don't have 75 million cookie sheets, is put layers of parchment paper in between your onions, and then you can use a whole stack of them all at once and flash freeze them. But that's just our preferred way to do this. So I do fill up a cookie sheet a few times with the parchment paper and the onions, and then I'll flash freeze this for a few hours, and then I'll go ahead and measure it into 1 cup size measurements and put it in the Ziploc bags, and those will end up going back into the freezer. But like I was saying before, I went off on our very chatty and conversationalness. I feel like I'm just sitting here having a conversation with you because I move from one thing to another. Right there you can see the sliced up onions. I use those for pizza because when we don't have the fresh onions coming in, I still want to have onions on my pizza. I love onions on my pizza. I'm a big onion and garlic fan. And because of that, I want onions all year round, and I would prefer to use our own homegrown stuff. So I'll slice these, put them on a cookie sheet, and flash freeze them the exact same way, which is great. It's really nice to be able to have those too. And then I'll put them in 1 cup measurements and all of that good stuff. But it's nice to be able to have them in both methods. Also because if you are making something like a French onion soup, which is really good, sometimes it's nice to have them in sliced rings as well. because I had all of these onions out and we were chopping these up, I wanted to do a really easy dinner, and I've been very low on our freezer meals, as I've mentioned, so I needed to make some more. So I was trying to keep in mind, okay, what can I do with dinner since we have all these onions out? I might as well incorporate that into some way. And we like stir fry or fried rice. I guess it's fried rice, not stir fry, although we do like that too. But I've been making fried rice a lot more lately when we have things like leftover pork chops, because I will often cook an extra pork chop or two with dinner in case people want seconds, and so then I end up oftentimes with an extra pork chop or two. And a quick way to use up one singular pork chop is to make fried rice. So I decided that that's what I was going to do for dinner, and I ended up putting onions and garlic in a big pot and sauteing those down. Since those are cooking down on the stove, I will go ahead and start working on other things. So I had just pulled out a bunch of stuff from the dehydrator so I could go ahead and dehydrate those green onion tops. And I will want to kind of crush those things up, label them, and put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in, I have these shelves where I store a lot of our dried items until I have time to get around to using them, because it can be a little bit more time consuming if every single day that I use the dehydrator I'm blending things up. I don't really want to do that, so I'll wait until I fill up these baskets of dried things, whether it's herbs or teas or seasonings, and then I will go ahead and have basically a day where I blend things up. And this right here is popolo. It's an herb that is often used in Mexican cuisine. It's one that I'm not super familiar with. This is our first year growing it. It is an annual. It smells amazing. It's a cilantro substitute, and I had some extra of that I needed to go ahead and get into the dehydrator because we had harvested it, I think, the day before and put it in the fridge. It could have been the same day though, I'm not really sure. And what I will typically do, because I forget, I will often have multiple different things going in the dehydrator all at the same time, is I will often put a little piece of paper with what it is on that specific tray, like a note, this is popolo or what have you, and then I'll put it on the tray and then I'll dehydrate the paper with it, which is odd, but it works, and it helps me to remember, okay, this is what this specific one is, because I might do a bunch of different herbs all in one day. I might do rosemary, and I might do tarragon, and I might do popolo, and tarragon and popolo look very similar, and I might do toothache plant, which we use for tea, or echinacea, which is for tea too. So it's just really helpful having a note on it that tells me what is what, because I will tell myself, this computer chair is like squeaking. I hope it's not a distraction. I will tell myself that I will remember, and then I will not remember what it is. So that's very helpful. So when I make fried rice, I often look at what vegetables I have on hand. If it's in the winter and we're doing a lot of broccoli and cauliflower, I will use broccoli and cauliflower in my fried rice. But right now I had carrots that had just come in and green beans that were growing from the garden. So I used the same choppy thingy and I chopped up a bunch of green beans, and then I chopped up a bunch of carrots and I added that to the same pot with the onions and the garlic and kind of sauteed that all down together. Because as I've mentioned, we try to eat very seasonally and use what we have on hand. So that means that oftentimes recipes have to be flexible. They have to be easily adjusted based off of what we currently have coming in from the garden. Once that is all sauteed down, I will take brown rice. That's most typically what we have is brown rice. Occasionally I will buy jasmine rice instead of white rice. I have a prejudice against white rice and white flour, and to the point that I'm very strongly considering buying a grain meal where you can like blend the grains up into flour yourself and just buying berries, because even though they put certain nutrients back into white rice and they put it back into white flour, they often strip it of a lot of those really good nutrients and minerals and things that are really important to our digestive health and our gut health. And so for me, I tend to try to stick to things like brown rice. And yeah, so if you have a food meal, I would be very interested to hear what you think of it if you use it as regularly. I am always looking for your guys' feedback on things. I feel like we have a very awesome relationship in that way, because you guys will tell me about things that you like and enjoy and that have worked for you, and that makes a big impact on things like this for me. Like I'm seriously considering getting a food meal, and not one of the ones that are cheap. If I'm going to do it, I want to go ahead and do one that is going to last a long time. Seth is really working on me. He's trying to get me to understand that sometimes quality is better. And so if it's a worthwhile investment, so I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. And that concludes our fried rice for this particular evening. So now that we had the fried rice, I had to come up with, well, okay, what I want to do is my main dish. So I went and I grabbed some broccoli that we had in the freezer from this winter and started to steam that down in the pot that was already really hot. If I can, I like to use one dish at a time. And then I had some canned chicken teriyaki that I had made a while ago, and I decided to dump that over the top of the broccoli. And so we had chicken, broccoli, teriyaki, and fried rice for dinner. It was really, really, really good. Here you can see the onions that I've taken out of the freezer after we have flash frozen them. And I'm putting them in a big old bowl because sometimes it's just easier to scoop things that way. You know, if you're using a big old 1 cup measuring cup, it's easier to just have it all in a bowl. And then the process begins of transferring it into those bags that we talked about. And earlier, I think I had said I used a sandwich bag, but actually that box right there is a snack bag. Those, you know, like snack sizes that you can do. And that's what we ended up using, was the Ziploc bags that are snack size.
Alright you guys, that is going to wrap up this video. As you can see, we did a lot of onions. I don't think I'm going to have to chop any for quite some time, with the exception of finishing the harvesting of all the onions that are currently in the garden, because there are still more. So yeah, this is what we accomplished. These are all 1 cup measurements. Sweet girl, 1 second. So if we count these, we've got 1, 2, we'll do like this, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48 cups worth of onions, which is excellent. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.